The key takeaway for me in 2024 is that podcasts are actually a really cool marketing hack. The reason why I started this podcast is because I knew I needed to get more content out into the world. There's a lot of knowledge that I've got in my head, and there's a lot of knowledge in lots of other people's heads that is legitimately really useful, can save you so much time and hassle and heartache as you're building a SaaS business. Sometimes the best way to learn is just to surround yourself with smart people who've already been there and done the thing that you're trying to do. And so what I'm trying to do with this podcast is find those people, suck the knowledge out of their head, and then present it to you in the most digestible form possible. What's nice about that is that I do one episode that runs for about an hour and a half. And out of that one video, there is a YouTube video, there is an audio version. I know we haven't put those out yet. That's coming. That's on my list for 2025. So we'll do an audio version of this as well. But then you can slice it up and you can do lots of little clips. You can do shorts. You can do everything else. And then you can turn all of that one hour and a half long interview. You can turn that into a blog post with show notes. You can even possibly turn that into multiple blog posts or combine a few different interviews, take the best bits from each one, stick that into a compilation blog post. You get so much content out of this one interview that you've done. So in terms of content generation, podcasts, I think from a founder's perspective, if you've got the gift of the gab a bit and you're good at talking to people and you're reasonably good on camera, then I think that podcast can be a really good way of getting lots of content without being a huge blocker in terms of your time as a founder. The second thing that I think is really valuable about podcasts is that it gives you a great excuse to reach out and talk to people that you want to talk to. I've got a whole background in cold email. That was one of the core marketing skills that I had. I used to run a cold email agency. Anyway, the cool thing about cold email is that I realized that whole 6 degrees of separation thing is true. You know someone who knows someone who knows, multiply that out 6 times. You can reach anyone on the planet within 6 different people. So you probably know someone on LinkedIn and, their brother went to school with this person who is friends with the president of the US or, the Mark Zuckerberg or whoever you want to talk to. So we're not as disconnected as you might think. And the crazy thing about cold email is that you can email really, really, really senior people, and provided that it's a good email, provided that you catch them at the right time, provided that you tick a few other boxes, you'll get a response from them. I had Seth Godin respond to my cold emails. I've had quite a few, a whole lot of other people respond to my cold emails. Lars Lofgren, I literally sent him a LinkedIn message and said, "Hey, I read this blog post of yours. It was awesome. Would love to connect." And he did. So people aren't as difficult to reach as what you might think. The cool thing about a podcast is it gives you an excuse to engage with people that you want to talk to. And I've been pleasantly surprised at how many people will say yes to jumping on a relatively unknown small podcast simply because I asked. So if the first marketing hack for podcasts is that you get all this content out of one bit that can be repurposed in a bajillion different ways. The second part of that puzzle is that it gives you an excuse to reach out and potentially approach like your dream 100. Pick out 100 companies that you want to talk to, email the CEO or the marketer or the decision maker that you want to talk to, invite them on your podcast. Even if only 6 people ever watch or listen to that podcast, doesn't matter, because now you've got a direct relationship with the person that you might want to sell to in the future. So that aspect I think is really important. And it doesn't have to be customers as well. You might want to reach out to influencers. You might want to reach out to anyone with an audience that you potentially want to partner with. The third thing that I think is really interesting though is that it's a really easy way to get backlinks. So if you're just starting out, for the last decade, Neil Patel and everyone else is banging on about content marketing and how you should do guest posting as a way of building backlinks. Now, the problem is that's become so saturated now. If you try doing guest posting, you can write the most amazing blog post in the world. You send it to anywhere that's half decent, and they will say, okay, but you're going to have to pay us for a backlink. And so you've got to pay them, and you've got to put all the work and time and effort and money into creating a really kick-ass blog post. There's a lot of work and a lot of expense with that just to get a damn backlink. However, with a podcast, you can ask for a backlink in the show notes and nobody ever asks you to pay for it, which is wild. So you are getting a backlink from potentially a really, really, really high authority site. And not only are you getting an opportunity to talk to their audience, get in front of them, tell them what you're about, get them to like you, crack a joke, give them a lead magnet. Not only are you getting in front of the audience directly, not only is that bit of content going to get repurposed and shared around in a dozen different places in a dozen different formats, you're also getting a backlink from them for free. Now, if you tried to do that with written content, you'd have to do so much more work. You'd have to spend so much more money. Your rejection rate would be so much higher, because even if you do offer to pay them, quite often they're just, no, we're not going to take it because we got this other guest blog post that's a little bit better than yours, and we're going to go run with that one instead. So I think that guest posting is like pushing a boulder uphill in 2025. If you want to build backlinks from high authority sites quickly in a really white hat way, get on a podcast. Be a guest on their podcast if they have one, or start your own and invite them on yours. And then, when you've released the episode, get them to share it, get them to stick a link, write a blog post about it, get them to post that up on their website. And people are pretty open to that. Like if you've just had a conversation with them for half an hour or an hour, you kind of become friends in that time. So now you're someone that they know and they probably will do a favor for. So I absolutely think that if you are looking at doing content marketing in 2025 and you've just started a SaaS business and you're trying to grow it and you want to build up a bunch of backlinks and get your content in front of people, you should consider either starting a podcast of your own, or at the very least, go out and be a guest on as many podcasts as you can possibly get on top of. And with that, we talked about this in the interview with Stuart Townsend as well. You start off with the ones that are easy, and then you get those recordings, and then you use those as leverage to kind of climb up to the next tier, and then use those as leverage to climb up to the next tier. You got to climb up a mountain. It's a ladder. There are rungs that you've got to climb up. You don't just go straight to Joe Rogan, but you work your way up. Hey, it's Ryan here. If you liked that video, please click the like and subscribe button somewhere down there, and check out the full interview right over here. Go on, click it. You want to.